What's going on, everybody? This is John Jerva coming at you with the Action Fix Live. We're doing a special Action Fix Live. This is Friday, July 1st, 10 o'clock a.m. on the East Coast. So I already did my Action Fix Live recently. I did a review for Obi-Wan Kenobi, but then I have set up since a special one. I got a special guest. So this July 14th, which is just a couple weeks away, we have Exiled, the Chosen Ones, that is finally going to be coming out from cutting edge filmmaker Ranjeet Marwa. So I got the man of the hour for you to talk about the film and, of course, other things. So let me bring him on right now. Ranjeet, how you doing?
I'm good, brother. Thank you for having me on here.
Oh, thank you for thank you for coming on. I know this was kind of last minute. I messaged you the other day and I was like, "Hey, would you like to do something live?" And you're like, "Absolutely." So let's before we get into the movie and everything. And again, congratulations on the release in the U.S., UK, and Germany. It's hitting Amazon Prime. I feel like I've been along with you for the ride because I've been promoting this movie, through its conception. So. First of all, before we get into it, let's talk to the viewers and just tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into the film industry, and just, little stuff like that.
Sure. I mean, I got into the film industry probably about 12, 13 years ago. I come from a background of illustration, of animation and game design. And then I fell into filmmaking through a family member. So I started off by collecting, as everybody does. You start off with a small collection of DVDs, and then just over the year, it just grows into like a stupid amount of DVDs, and that was essentially what happened to me. And I've said this on other shows before. How I got into filmmaking was watching all the behind the scenes first before the movie, and then when I watched the movie, getting more of an appreciation for it. So I understood the process of filmmaking that way, and then just getting my first camera, getting out, and then trying to make films. Uh, and then I've just been doing that, and I did that for 10 years straight, solid. And I committed myself to every month I have to make one short film.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that consistently. And I ended up clocking in probably over 125 short films over the years. And then I got my chance to direct a feature film, which is a black and white horror movie called The Missing.
Mm-hmm.
And that did somewhat well. And then I got my chance to do a proper budget feature film, which was Exiled. And now I'm here on your show and promoting the movie. And since then, I've gone on to make two other great movies, which is Rupture and Dig Me No Grave. And I've got a fourth one pending.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay, so let's talk about Exiled. So talk about the conception of it. So because obviously it's been a few years since you've been living this movie. So first of all, let's talk about how it came about. Of course, the question, how did you come up with doing something like this? We've seen this type of thing before. Like guys hunting each other. When wealthy people bet on it. Which I'm all for. They can make as many of these movies. Yeah. And I'll show up every time.
Well, Exile actually came about because I had another movie in pre-production, which is called Blood Rush, and
Okay.
and that one had Pang, Oka Ontara, Zach Lee, Yaya, and Chechep. It had all of the Raid guys in the movie, and everybody signed on for it, and Nathan Jones as well. And it was ready to go, and the last minute, the unfortunate pandemic happened, which was
Yep.
COVID. So
Yeah.
the movie it's been shelved for now. It's not a movie that's never gonna happen. It's a movie that's definitely gonna work. It's still going to happen. It's taking a rest for now, if you want to say.
Yep.
But we were like, well, we've got some of the budget, so let's see what we can do with that. So within 3 or 4 weeks, I just wrote a script from scratch, which was Exiled. We kind of got everything ready, super last minute, and the idea of Exiled came about because like I think most action guys are. I think you just become in love with the Raid movies,
Yep.
and they were the ones that were kind of like, oh damn, like nobody's ever seen action like this before, and if we have seen it, it was a very long time ago. But Gareth Evans, he kind of took a fresh approach to the genre, and it was like, with all at the time was an unknown cast. and it was like, wow, like guy from Wales, 2 hours away from where I live, he made this incredible Indonesian movie with these super amazing martial artists. I want to make a movie like that. And then that was kind of brewing in the background, getting everything ready. I was introduced to Timo, and movies like Headshot and The Night Comes for Us. And then I got to kind of know everybody that way. And then through Headshot and The Night Comes for Us, the name Sunny Pan kept coming up. And I was like it's because the name Sunny in Asian culture is it's a very name that is kind of given to almost everybody.
Right.
Like I have cousins who are named Sunny. Like it's not their actual name, but it's a name that's kind of given like a home name, or like a loving name that you just give somebody.
Right.
So that name kind of resonated to me because it was like I'm familiar with that name, so that name kind of stuck out to me. And then I got introduced to Sunny, and then Sunny just kind of was like, "Look, man, I'm ready. Let's make a movie." I was like, "Wow!" So, and that was kind of the first time I had experience with a top tier actor like Sunny, and not only is he a great actor, but he's a great martial artist, and a lot of my, if you want to call it success, a lot of my success is owed to Sunny, because he was the one that gave me my first chance. So, and me and him always talk. We talk regularly. He's like a big brother to me. So that's how Exiled came about. And then through Sunny, we were able to get Hannah El Rashid. We were able to get Oka Antara. And then there's a little cameo at the end of the movie for those that watch it. They can see that somebody else is also in the movie too.
Awesome. So yeah, so I'm gonna just show some, like, this is some preliminary teaser posters,
Yeah.
like every time you shared one, I was like, oh, I gotta do an article, like, oh, there's another one, I gotta do an article. So yeah, I mean, like, these are like, this is actually, I really dug this one because it just looks like, I mean, that's a poster that you can see hanging up in a movie theater, like, because like, and it just looks badass, and so okay, and again, this might be my disorder talking, but I forgot the guy's name. He was in Foxtrot 6. He plays the sniper in the movie, the ghost. Yes. Sorry. Yeah, I was like, this is live TV, everybody. But yeah, yeah. So I loved him, and then I saw he was in the movie. So how did he get involved?
So Oka, like, he was signed on for Blood Rush, so I'd already known him, and then it was like,
okay, so, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so we was like, well, we need like the sniper character in the movie. Although he's not in the whole movie, his role is quite prominent, and he's got an important role in the movie. So I was like, well, I want to cast somebody that has some weight behind them, and because I'd seen Oka in the Raid 2 and I thought he was great, I was like, I'm gonna give Oka a call, see if he's interested, see if he wants to do it, and we can work out the logistics afterwards on how we can shoot this thing, because he's in Jakarta, Indonesia. I'm here in the UK, so it's like, how are we going to do this? Yeah. So I actually directed all of Oka scenes via Zoom. I was here in the UK. We had the whole crew out in Jakarta. I was on a Zoom call with them for 24 hours. I did not sleep for 24 hours. I was dosed up on Red Bull and a shitload of snacks, and I directed the whole scene there, and it was a crazy experience. Would I do it again? No, but if I had to, I would do it. But yeah, that's how we got Oka scenes. So yeah, so yeah, I mean, the movie, I guess, takes place production-wise in the UK and Jakarta, and we just kind of merged everything together and made it look like one.
Oh, I didn't know that. So that's pretty interesting. That was pretty cool how you handled that one. Now let's talk about the movies. So again, I got a chance to see a rough cut of it, so I'm dying to see it when it comes out and see it in all of its glory, if you will. But let's explain to the viewers, like, because this is a wild ride, and I say that in a good way. Like, this gives my thumbs up. I'm going to say that right now, because this is right in my wheelhouse. I like cutting edge, over the top, like blood. So, like what I said, blood-soaked, bone-crunching action, and oh my god, this delivers it. So, talk about the movie and what it's about and what people can expect from it.
So I wanted to set the movie. So the movie set in modern day, but kind of slightly in the future. Yes. Like maybe from 7-8 years from now. So it's still like relatively close, but it's like 7 years in the future, 6 years in the future. And I was like, well, if COVID doesn't go away and the government, and if it is a conspiracy and the whole government's done this thing just to kind of eradicate the human race in a way, what would it look like? And like, what would people do? But what if the government failed at what they did?
Mm-hmm.
And essentially that's what the movie is. It's about a man-made virus from the government, and they put this virus out into the world. Instead of eradicating the human race just become crazy, like everybody was during lockdown and isolation.
Right.
And what the government do is they take that as an advantage and they create a game show out of it. So a little bit like Death Race, where viewers kind of place bets on who they think is going to win. Who's survived the longest in the game, do they think next is going to be the next victim. So the government just decided to make money from the whole thing. But one player in particular, i.e. Sunny Pang, he kind of realizes that it's all, I can't swear on the show, right?
Go, yeah, fuck yeah, go right ahead.
So he realizes that it's all a bunch of bullshit, and he's like, I need to get the fuck out of here. So he comes across another player who's been put into the game purposely, and without kind of spoiling the movie too much, they create a kind of a bond, and something along the way happens, and he has to try and fight his way out of this concrete jungle that he's been put into. Every aspect of this in this building is covered with cameras. Yep. So he's got to not only try and survive, but he's got to try and avoid all of these cameras whilst trying to get the fuck out of this building.
Yep.
Yeah. So essentially, that's the movie in a nutshell.
Cool. Now, watching it, and again, none of this is in a bad way. This is all in a good way, but it doesn't follow a normal narrative. Like the dialogue, even in the like it's just random dialogue between these I call them prisoners or whatever, but like they just run into each other. Like I kind of like the moments where like, just one guy and he just start talking and I'm like, oh, I'm going to kill you now. So it's like, talk a little bit about the narrative and how, like, did you come up and be like, you know what, I'm going to tell the story, but I'm not going to do it in a traditional way.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the main storyline is Sunny Pang's, his character, hero is obviously the main storyline.
Right.
But surrounding his character are multiple other storylines, because I have a cast of 36 actors. So I don't want to just bring in people just to kind of be background. I want to incorporate the story somehow into the movie, and kind of they have their own story to tell on why they're in the game and how they got there and what their past life was, and things that led up to this moment. So kind of it was a bit of an intricate thing where I had to kind of see what worked, what didn't work. I cut a lot out of the movie. There was a lot of stuff that I kept in. So yeah, like I said, like in total, there's 36 actors, and most of them have dialogue. So trying to write dialogue for 36 people and try and contain it in one movie it seems like a lot of work. But if you kind of structure everything properly, I have 2 whiteboards for a reason. So just put everything down and just kind of move everything around. And try and structure it in a way that's kind of cohesive and people understand what's going on.
Right. Yeah. So, okay. Well, yeah. So, yeah. And again, I dig these kind of movies, and I kind of like it, the play on the government, they mean a man-made virus, because I'm all for digging at the governments nowadays, because I don't think they know it. I don't think they know what they're doing when they show up to their meetings and stuff like that. So I loved it. But let's talk more about Sunny Pang. Now, obviously, we know him from Headshot and The Night Comes For Us. He's a badass, Did he get to play it all? Like, now, Nick Khan, like, and then you had these guys developing the fight scenes. Now, talk about I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's talk about Nick Khan first. So talk about him, and we all know he's a badass. So you got these 2 great badass, and again, it does not disappoint in terms of the 2 badasses merging in the finale. But talk about Nick Khan and what he brought to the table.
Yeah, so Nick is feels like he's been a lifelong friend of mine. I've known him for about maybe 7 or 8 years, and we'd always planned on doing a raid type movie, and a lot of Exile is inspired by the Raid. I mean, I don't think any action movie today is not inspired by that. They'd be lying if they weren't.
Yeah.
And
it's like the Raid and John Wick. Those two movies. Everybody aspires to have their movies like that now.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, you can't not be inspired by the other movies. I mean, every movie has an inspiration behind it. I was just so happy to be the Raid. So yeah, Nick and we choreographed a lot of stuff before Sonny flew out to the UK. And then when he was here, we kind of given Sonny creative freedom in terms of, okay, there are things that you might want to change, want to improvise, might maybe take out and kind of fit your style. So we worked on that with Sonny for maybe a week, trying to change some of the stuff. And then we kind of got to where we needed to be, but then as we got into production, it then changed during filming as well, just because always, you're running into time, or you're running into budgets, and it's just kind of have to get stuff out there, and you can't not. You don't have 2 days to shoot a fight scene. You have literally 4 hours to shoot it, so get it done. So it becomes a very time constraint thing, and I think a lot of people that get into movies, they don't understand that, because that in itself is a very difficult thing to try and grasp. And you can spend 2, 3, 4 months designing previses and action rehearsals, and then when you come down to shooting, you have sometimes 45 minutes to shoot 4 months of work in. Yeah. So it becomes very difficult, and people that don't understand that, I don't know what to say, but it's something that you just kind of have to get your head around. So we designed that with Sonny. So then Sonny came on as an action consultant / director to help with a lot of the action stuff, and he worked alongside Nick, and those two are like a house on fire, and they get along so well, and they understand each other, and they're constantly bantering with each other and calling each other names. So during set, it was an incredible set experience. But it was a very, very, very tough shoot to do, especially in October in the UK, when it's absolutely freezing.
Yeah. Now I'm trying to keep this spoiler free, of course, because the movie hasn't even come out yet, but it's on the poster, so we know that the two Lockhorns. It's plus with the trailer and everything. So talk about talk about that. Just talk about the fight scene, the fight sequence in general, and how in depth did it get? How excruciating was it to do? Because here's my thing, and again, I don't want to do spoilers, but I love how when they first see each other, and they kind of walk up to each other, and they're just kind of looking at each other from peripheral vision. That was badass. That was just they're sizing each other up, and they're just and then all of a sudden the fists and feet start flying. Yeah. So talk about that a little bit.
Well, the character of Nick Igor Dragovich, he's a Russian kind of almost like military machine that goes through everything within the movie. Yeah. And there's no stopping his character. He's there for one reason and one reason only, and that's just to annihilate and get the hell out of this game. And because he knows how badass he is in the game, and he's one of the longest running survivors in the game. Yeah. He's super confident that he can just whoever comes my way, I'm gonna go through them. But then Son, on the other hand, he's a bit calculating with his moves, so he knows what to do, what not to do, and how to avoid certain situations and take advantage of certain situations. And when those two eventually do meet, towards the finale of the movie, you can see that both of them are put to the test. Mm-hmm. And it's a somewhat long, excruciating, brutal battle that they both go through. Yes. And I think the ending is, I don't think it could have ended any other way than it did. But again, we had 2 days to shoot that scene. But again, like I mentioned before, with time and budget, you kind of just have to cut back ever so slightly. But I think even cut back, I think it was essential. Just sometimes you just have to trim the fat off of stuff just to kind of get to the point, and that's what we did.
Yeah. Okay. And then here, and of course, I've been doing my website for almost 8 years now. And the biggest thing is like being a champion for independent filmmakers. Because I do promote the big budget stuff, of course. But they don't need my help. But it's like doing this, and like I talk to a lot of filmmakers like yourself, and the biggest thing is like and I want to tell people when you watch movies, because when somebody disses on an independent movie, it's like I want to tell them like, hey, they didn't have 8 months to go like and $50 million to go.
Yeah.
For what you guys accomplished, for one, the time constraints and the budget is nothing short of astounding. So talk about in your world as an independent filmmaker. Talk about the perils of, if you will, of trying to make these movies come to life. Being constricted with these things.
Well, I mean, I don't come from a filmmaking family. I don't have any rich uncle. So it's kind of, you have to kind of put the grind in. I mean, there was this quote that I saw somewhere. I can't remember where I saw it now, but it says, in order for you to achieve success, you have to put in 10,000 hours of work. And I kind of feel like maybe I have done that. Maybe I'm close to doing it. I mean, I've grafted for, at the time, just before Exiled, I grafted for 10 years trying to either get a feature made or something. But I came to the point within those 10 years, I was like, I don't need a budget. I don't need a crew. I know what I'm doing. So let's just go make movies just for the hell of it. So, and that's what I did. And I ended up clocking in, like I said, 125 short films. And that was, for me, that was my film school. And, I gained a lot of experience that way. I made a lot of good contacts that way. I got some recognition that way. And, that was the reason why I've now managed to make 3 decent sized budget movies. And, and now the people that I need to take notice of me are taking notice of me. And, getting together the budget that we did, the budget for Exiled was brought together by friends and family. And, it wasn't financed by a studio. Nope. It wasn't financed by some multi-millionaire. It was friends and family. We got together the money that we had, savings, and we put everything into Exiled. And we just took a risk on it, and fortunately enough, the risk is paid off. And we've got 3 releases for Exile coming up. We've got not only the Amazon release in UK, US, Germany, and Austria. We've got also theatrical release in all of Southeast Asia coming, and we've also got Tubi buying worldwide rights for the movie as well.
I saw that. Yeah, you posted that it's coming to Tubi also. I gotta tell you, Tubi is awesome. If you can watch a little bit of commercials, they got a lot of crap on there. So so that's it's good. It's great that because your film is, because they're not only do they show big movies, but like they show like these obscure action movies. So yours coming on there, that's like a big platform for.
Yeah, I mean, from what I can remember, Tubi purchased for US, Canada, Mexico, Australia, Japan, New Zealand, and Australia. I think I've said, but 6, 7 territories they've already acquired the rights to the movie. So the movies, the trajectory of everything so far seems to be going well and what we hoped for. So I'm just hoping by the time it gets to Tubi, it'll reach an even wider audience and people will get to know about it even more.
Right. Now let's talk about well, of course we have already talked about it, but now I was expecting DVD at the most, but now they get it on Amazon Prime. So talk about how I mean, because I'm sure you were ecstatic when this happened, because I was like, because you had the big announcement with the trailer and everything, and I was like, damn, I'm like, that's pretty good. So talk about that happening.
And so the Amazon thing, because I have a good rapport with Amazon already, because my first super small budget feature from The Missing was acquired by Amazon. So I had my good rapport with them then, and at the time I'd had a project in development with Amazon, which was a World War II feature film called Memoirs of a Sea Soldier. So they were building that in the background. Well, that kind of fell through. That's a whole other story for another time. But so I kept a good rapport with Amazon, and then like kind of sent it to Amazon and just said, hey guys, look, what do you think of this? What do you think? Yeah. Like, yeah, well, we're ready to acquire it. We just need all of the assets, get all the artwork ready. So we probably spent 3-4 weeks just getting all the assets ready, and then and then it was just, and then like as I'm sure people have seen, It's just been heavily marketed everywhere, and then they gave a date of July 14th. So that's when the movie is expected to premiere. And so hopefully everybody can enjoy the movie. Everybody, I know people have been asking for almost a year and a half, so it's finally here, guys. You can watch it. Sorry for the super amount of delay. COVID has been a bitch, so we haven't been able to get the movie out. But yeah, it's here now, guys. You can enjoy the movie, and yeah, that's kind of how that happened.
You don't have to apologize for the delay, sir. I think Top Gun married. That thing freaking didn't come out for 3 years. I think Tom Gray's more gray now than he was when he made that movie. So, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, you can't like plan for these things happening, and well, let's talk about that now. Like working in a COVID environment now, how has that, talk about it from your viewpoint and being a filmmaker and having to work with these restrictions now.
Yeah, well, we've made 3 movies now during COVID, and we made 2 during lockdown, which was Exiled and Rapture. The third one, Digging No Grave, which is a thriller movie, survival thriller. That one was kind of post-COVID here in the UK. But Exiled was challenging because everyone was masked up, everyone was in gloves, and everyone was social distancing.
Yeah.
But the good thing about Exiled was because everything was one location. All the cast and the crew would create a bubble. So everyone was tested almost every day. Yep. Make sure no one was tested positive, because especially during Exile times when we made that movie, if anybody was tested positive, that was it. The set's being shut down for 14 days, and that would have cost the production quite a lot of money. So, but luckily nothing happened, and touch wood, nothing happened with Rupture or Digging No Grave. So, I think we were quite lucky in terms of everybody being quite safe and following protocols when they needed to. Everybody was sanitizing, had masks when they needed to. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely a very difficult process during Exiled, but we managed to pull it off. But like I said, we were super lucky because it was just one location, and so everyone was in a bubble. So that in that respect, we were very lucky in kind of containing safety of what we already had.
Absolutely. Now let's go back to the movie. Now I'm looking at some, like, you got some of these names, like you got Jimmy the Reaper, Cypher, Apex Predator. Where did like these characters come about? Like you have some pretty off the. I was like, every time you turn around, there's some psycho. I like, what? How would you describe it? Is it an action thriller? Is it a horror movie? I'm like, because I love mashups, by the way. Like when you put it all, see what happens. So talk about that a little bit.
So for me, I think because I come from a background of making horror movies, that's where I started. Right. So action thriller was always my thing for 10 years. And so when I got the chance to make Exiled, I was like, well, the first and foremost genre it's going to be is an action movie. That's the first thing it's going to be. But then I want to incorporate my speciality, if you want to call it that, is horror element in there. So there are a few moments where it's kind of gorish or horror elementy-ish. And there are a few characters where they are essentially horror characters.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I have to be very specific with who I want in the roles. So I think he messaged in the chat a few minutes ago, which is James Bryan. He's a very, very good friend of mine. He plays a character called Kato Plasma. And he is almost like a shaman, kind of witch doctor kind of thing. And I wanted to give him this very tribal-esque feel.
Yeah.
So that was that inspiration. And then another guy is called Moses of Badlands, played by another friend of mine called David Lamont. And he is under the impression that cameras within this confinement are gods, and they're watching everything that the human race is doing, i.e. the human race being all of the contestants in the game. And he feels that he has to make sacrifices for the gods to make them happy. He's not wrong, in some respects. So yeah, there are a few characters like that within the movie, but essentially I think the movie comes down to, if I was to give you 2 genres, it would be action horror.
Actually, that's what I'm going to describe it as. When I do my review, yeah, I would call it. Which there's a lot of action horror, like blends of
Yeah.
I love that thing. Now, I just thought because I was going to actually this a little earlier ago, but I didn't. But like going back to Nick Khan, like again, his character's so bad. Like I like his get up. Like where do you get all the knives and because all these other poor bastards don't have a rock the throw, but yet this guy's all suited up in tactical gear and ready to go with knives. So talk about that.
Well, every single one of the costumes in the movie was designed by me.
Yeah.
I spent like 2 weeks or like a week maybe designing 36 costumes, and
Yeah.
then during filming we brought in our lead wardrobe costume wardrobe lady, Hannah, and she kind of amped everything up a little bit more. But Nick in specific, because Nick is my boy, I was like, I want to make Nick look a bit different, because everyone essentially kind of looks the same within the movie. I was like, I want to just set one person apart, and that just happened to be Nick's character. So I gave him almost essentially what looks like a bulletproof vest,
right,
but with a load of blades inside. And so Nick's background and his speciality in martial arts is he's a swordsman, and he's very good with blades.
Yes.
So I think we know where we need to go with Nick's character. So give him one machete in his back and a second machete also in his back. So he's got two machetes in his back, and then he's got about 6 or 8 blades in the front of his vest. And when people get to watch the movie, they'll see what he does with the blades, and it's not very nice. And he uses every single one of his blades to his advantage. So they're not there as just a showpiece; they're there to be utilized, and he uses every single one of them in the most grotesque way that you can imagine.
Right. Now here's this is the biggest compliment is like when you're watching a movie, like I want to see a movie with this guy now, headlining it, because it's like I want to know more about this guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, we have written some stuff as a possible spin-off for him.
Right.
So there's something in the works, and we'll let people know in time. But
well, and again, it's hard to talk about it because the movie hasn't come out yet. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but it does end ambiguous. I will say that, I mean, so if you're like my wife and you need your endings to be wrapped with a nice little bow, this isn't the movie for you. I mean, and I want her to watch it just so she always gets mad at me, like when the movie ends, she's like, "That's it," and I'm like, "Yes." It's like, but yeah. Without spoiling anything, talk about what you see happening, with this, franchise, or what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the intention was to always just do a trilogy with the movie. So I do want to do a second and third one, but obviously it depends on the success of the first one, of course, because I don't want to be making a second and third one when the movie only went out to make $100 the first one. So I want to go and hopefully get the audience to kind of want a second one. And so what I would want to do is I kind of want to expand the world. So it's not just find within a concrete building. It expands out to the city. And then if we ever do a third one, I kind of want to expand it out to the world. So each one kind of gets bigger and bigger, and more players and more people that we'll recognize will be in there. So that's kind of my intention, was that from the start, is to kind of build a whole world and characters that everyone's familiar with and people can rally behind, people can hate. And but like I said, it just depends on the success of the first one. I do have a treatment for the second one, called Exiled 2: Beyond the Badlands. So we'll see how the first one does.
I like the title. Yeah, that works for me. Like I said, I'll show up every single time for these movies because I'm such a sucker for them. I mean, granted, I'm pushing 50 this year, so I've been watching action movies since I was like freaking 5 years old. But it's like when I got older, like my eyes were open, because because I was kind of like my parents would like watch me watch some movies, but like they wouldn't go overboard with the the R-rated movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I love like, I mean, I don't mind PG-13 action movies. I mean, I get people on the website that come at me and be like, I mean, I don't always need to see body parts flying and blood spraying 8 feet to enjoy an action movie, but your movie does have that. So let's talk about let's talk about like the violence aspect of it. Like, again, sometimes you're just in the mood for a good old bloodletting, and this is what this movie delivered. So talk about, like, did you always envision, like, listen, if I'm gonna do this, I'm just gonna freaking go all the way out and just like show the dirtiest shit I can.
But yeah, I mean, like, if you're gonna make an action movie, especially with the stars of the Raid and Headshot and the Night Comes First, you can't make
a PG-13. No,
can't make a Walt Disney martial arts movie. You have to go all in. And I was like, okay, so with everything that we have at our disposal, what can we achieve? What works? What isn't gonna work? And so we brought in all the prosthetics and everything within the movie, and able to do some great things. Unfortunately, we got a really good producer on the movie, Johnny Chen, and he was like, just do whatever you want, just don't mention religion. I was like, well, okay. But, so anyway, so there was an aspect in the movie that was based on religion, so I had to kind of eliminate that from the script. Kind of rewrote the scene, and anyway, so yeah, we kind of just went all in. I mean, we designed the previses with, I think, a lot more bone crunching action, but then, just as I said before, just time constraints and everything, it takes a massive toll, because if you shoot an action scene and you shot 99% of it in the one day, and you only have 1 day to film it, you can't go back the next day and film that 1% in the same setup, because one setup takes a good 2 or 3 hours to do. And so it's not just let's just go and just quickly do it. It's a whole setup that we have to do, which then is another unit move to another part of the building, or something else needs to be done. It just becomes very long-winded. So, and that was the reason why we wrote in Sunny, just so we can also not only have him as an actor and have him as a main part of the film, but to bring him in, and so he can consult us on the action, what works and what doesn't work, and where we need to cut time, where we need to cut sequences and make it more fast-paced, make it more rapid, and just kind of make it more efficient and just straight to the point, rather than trying to long something out just for the sake of longing it out. But I think the final product of what we had, I think it worked beautifully. I think the action that the audience are going to see is yes, it's action that they've seen before, something that they're already used to seeing. But I think we've kind of added our own flavor to it. I don't want to say we notched it up, but we've added our own flavor to it, our own style to it. There's a lot of choices I've made in the movie, especially with camera work, especially with one of the scenes with Nick, where I don't pull away from the camera. I just leave it running for a while, right from beginning to end. And it's a very brutal scene, and I just felt the need to not put any angles in it, just to keep it as one locked off shot. And when the audience do get to see that scene, they'll understand why I chose that, because it's a very intimate, brutal scene, and to cut from it, I thought was doing an injustice to it. So there are a few moments that I like that within the movie. So yeah, the action was purely done on purpose, just to kind of ramp everything up a little bit, but still have the audience feeling like it's very familiar territory, and like the scene Liam Neeson throw one punch with 20 different camera angles.
Right.
That's not what I wanted to do. So I like I said, I wanted to keep it as very fresh, original as I could, but trying to still be inspired by other movies like The Night Comes First and The Raid and stuff like that. So that was the action that I'm hoping we pulled off within the movie.
Now that brings up a good point, because like nowadays, like there's been so much brought about, I guess, shaky cam and bad editing, and extreme close-ups and stuff like that. And again, I can say to the viewers that when you see this, you guys, and again, that's when you get guys who know how to shoot action, this is what you get. You get scenes where you can see what the frick's going on. And when you got guys with talent, that's the thing. You don't have to cut and splice because you don't have to throw, like, because when you get somebody who doesn't, you have to put stunt doubles in, and that's when you got to do the fakery and the trickery. But here it's just you just sit there with the camera and just let them go. And that's what I loved about it. So talk about that.
Yeah, so I mean, like a lot of the fights that we have in the movie are all martial arts trained.
Right.
You know, we've got Sunny who comes from background of his own martial art style, which is almost like samurai-esque kung fu, and we have people like Nick who comes from a complete eskrima kind of background. We've got another one that comes from eskrima. We've got another one that comes from taekwondo. We've got our backbreak specialist, and we've got kind of some other people within the movie who they're there to serve a certain purpose. So that was kind of, sorry, I'm laughing at an inside joke about backbreak right. Specialist. I'll fill you in with it later, but but yeah, everyone is brought in just for a specific reason, for their own skill sets, and then we kind of have to mix and match who we think is going to work. Okay, we've got two eskrima guys, but their styles don't match, even though it's the same style. So we need to bring in a taekwondo guy with an eskrima guy, MMA guy with another type of style. So we mixed all of the action together, and not one style is the same. You know, we've got a guy in the movie called One-Eyed Viper, this long-haired guy with an axe, and people have seen him in the trailer, and he has, which I think is probably one of the coolest showdowns in the movie. Not being biased because it's my own movie, but I think that's a very cool fight that happens between the guys. And so we've got some really great elements in the movie like that, some really great martial artists.
Yeah, and that's why, because everybody loves Bloodsport, because of all the different styles, and that's what I love is when you get a movie like we got different styles converging, so you're not getting like the same thing over and over again. And as a martial artist myself, it's like I look for that type, I look for those things, So I really dug how you were able to just kind of put it all in a blender, and just turn it on, and then and then that's what you got. So, and I love the ending. And again, I'm trying not to spoil anything, but it's so goddamn hard. But I love when they're fighting at the end. I love how they're like Nick has the blade up against his eye, and he takes away. Now he's like he can't see out of the eye, and it's like you just want to listen. You guys are going to have this fight. I could just see you guys talking before. You're going to have this fight, and I'm going to fuck you up as much ways as possible when we did it. So talk about it.
I mean, that finale was I'd had some input into it.
Yeah.
But a lot of that was actually designed by Sunny and Nick. And, they wanted to go with certain cuts and certain looks of the character in terms of the progression of the fight scene. Yeah. And I was like, oh, Sonny's already a master at what he does, so I can't really say to him, no, you can't do that. I was like, because he's
do what you want. Go ahead.
Right? And I think a lot of actors will say that I'm not lying in terms of, because I give a lot of the actors freedom to just, okay, if you feel the need to do that, do it, but also justify it. And so I give them a lot of freedom to do the things, but I have my direction and I know what I want. But with the performances, I will just kind of nudge them into what I think is going to work best. I'm definitely not a dictator when it comes to like, oh, it must be this way. I'm like, look, this is what I want you to do. Do it, but also feel free to add your thing into it as well. And that gives all of the actors, that gives them a bit more confidence to be like, okay, the director trusts us. So, because the last thing an actor wants is a dictator director who's giving them a direction that they're not comfortable with.
Right.
But even though it might make sense in the director's head, if the actor's uncomfortable, he's not going to give you a good performance. So for me, it's never been like that. I think any one of the actors I worked with can testify to that. I give them complete confidence and security and knowing that their ability is good, which is why you're in the film.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of also want this as well. And so they understand that, and and they're all good actors, and everyone's good at what they do, so they can appreciate that. I've come 50-50 with them, rather than just being like completely resistant to any of the ideas that they have. And I think that's what kind of makes great films is teamwork, because without the team, the film does not work.
Right.
And it's not. Although yes, it's my script and I've produced it and I've directed it, it's not my film. It's everybody's film. Everybody's brought together with all of their skill sets, and we made this thing, which everybody will now watch on July 14th. And I think it's super important to kind of appreciate everybody's skill sets, because if you don't appreciate them, you shouldn't be in the business. You should just go and do something else, but not be a person that's in the film business just for ego and fame, and just to say I can tell people what to do, because that's not what it's about. And I've never been that person. Yeah.
Well, we got James. James is throwing out some compliments there for you. You're going to be bigger than Tarantino. I cannot argue that fact. So James, thank you very much for listening. Ending on Exiled. Now again, I'm trying not to spoil it, but I just okay. So I'm going to try to do this the best I can without ruining it for people. Now it's like, as you got Nick and Sonny fighting, but then something happens at the end where their characters, something, am I right? Or is that going to be in the future? I mean, with people are home being like, what? But you know what I'm talking about.
Well, since we're very close to the release, I guess I can give you 0.5% spoiler.
Yeah, okay, go ahead. Yeah, I didn't want to do it. You can do it. Go right ahead. It's your film.
Well, I mean, yes, there is a moment towards the end of the movie where things take a turn, an unexpected turn, and the audience is going to be like, what just happened?
Yeah.
And that was actually, that idea was given to me by my fiance. Yeah, and it was kind of like almost like a last minute thing. And for that, I'll be forever grateful for, because without her contribution to the script and that idea, there would be no sequel. There would be no building of this world.
Right.
So I'm super grateful to her. Charmaine, she's one of the producers on the movie, but she also contributed not only to the script and story, but she also contributed to a lot of the post-production as well. So, she's a lifelong ally of mine, as well as being my fiance, and just so her idea was, just to kind of switch it up a little bit, and kind of maybe if we did this, I think it would serve the story a bit better. So that's what we did. I think it definitely did 100% serve the story a lot better in creating a bigger world, and and leading to something more expanded. So I mean, you have the MCU, which is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We have the RCU, which is the Ranjeet Cinematic Universe, and all of my films are going to be connected. So that was kind of how that happened. I don't know if that's a 0.5% spoiler, but there is a shift. There is a moment of something shifts within the movie, and you're like, oh shit, this is gonna happen.
I will say the enemy of my enemy is my friend type of thing. That's what and if that is truly, I mean, I'm all for it. It's like, like you have these two in like 10 movies. It's like, because all right. Yeah. So July 14th is the release. I couldn't be happier for, like I said, following this. We've been talking on social media, here and there, but finally talk to you in person. But let's talk about some future stuff. Now, we also have Rupture that you have been filming, which is one of the films that you had talked about. So let's go into that a little bit. Now it stars the great Mark Strange, who I've been watching for years now. So this one now, obviously, you're still working on it. Is that still in post?
So no, Rupture is done and dusted. It's completed. 100%.
Oh, it's done. Okay, it's okay. Okay,
yeah. Gotcha. So we're just about to sign the worldwide rights over to a company which I will not name just yet, but we're about to sign all of the rights over to the company.
Okay.
That is from our premiere on April 30th. at the Fighting Spirit Film Festival held by Super Bowl and all of a wonderful team. So we had a 15-minute preview of the movie because I didn't want to showcase all of the movie. I just wanted to give segments. So we showed a few action scenes, some dialogue stuff, and yeah, the movie is it's a cyberpunk action thriller inspired by the video game Cyberpunk 2077.
Okay.
And there's a lot of other movie references. Like that pose right there is inspired by The Crow. So and the jacket and everything is inspired by The Crow. So yeah, there are a lot of visual references that people will be like, oh yeah, we know what that's inspired from or inspired by. So yeah, this is also another great martial arts movie. It's more of Exiled is more like, if I was to give you in a percentage, Exiled is 90% action, 10% story, and Rupture is 50-50. 50% story, 50% action. So there's great emotional arc behind Rupture about someone who's betrayed by people that he thought he was close to. And he comes out of prison after a few years and just kind of takes his revenge. But then along the way, he kind of finds that there's a conspiracy built against him. So yeah, that was a really fun project too. That was shot in X amount of days. We had Mark Strange, who his lead debut as a lead role, and he gives an absolutely fantastic performance. Mark went above and beyond for the role of Raven Black in the movie, and we spoke every day prior to that. Designed all the action. Nick had a lot of input as well as the other choreographers. They had a lot of the input, and then Mark had his input as well did I, because me as the director, I kind of like I don't like. I'm not saying this to be disrespectful. Just kind of, it's more of a choreographer can design something and it works great and it looks absolutely beautiful, but sometimes it doesn't work on the camera.
Right.
So you either have to figure out another way to shoot it, or you kind of have to adapt it. Now, my thing is, because I know the budgets and timescales we work on, I'd rather adapt it rather than try and let's move all the lights and trying to get the angle from here. I'd rather just adapt it with what we have. So I put my, like, if you want to say 10 cents in, just to kind of be like, no, I think this would work better, purely just for the sake of the visual and in terms of just because of what we have set up. And, I think a lot of the stuff is, it's great. I mean, the action was designed great by our guys. There was a lot put into it in terms of, structuring how to do it. But again, with everything, there was time constraints and there's always budget issues.
Right.
And going back to what I said previously, I think a lot of people, and sometimes even crew, they don't understand that. And, why do we only have 45 minutes to shoot an action scene? Well, because that's all we have, So
Right.
just go and shoot it. Stop complaining, because the more you complain about it, the less time we have. So just go and shoot the fucking damn thing, and maybe we can where we need to be to. But again, like I said, some people just don't understand it, and they'll never understand it, and that's fine. People are there just to serve a purpose, and people come and go. It's part of life. It happens.
Yeah.
But I wish the best of luck to everybody. But when you're shooting such an intense action piece, but when having to fill it with a lot of story, it takes its toll on both the crew and the cast. But with Rupture in itself, I went off on a bit of a rant there, but with Rupture itself, it's a neon lit movie based in the future.
Yep.
It's got some, when people watch it, if they watch Exiled first and then Rupture, they'll notice there's a connection between the two. There is a link between them with certain characters and certain times of the year the movie takes place. That's what I'll say. But there is a lot of great story to the movie as well, because the movie Rupture essentially is a love story about a guy trying to do the best thing for his significant other. Yeah. But in getting to that final destination of him trying to reach that goal, he's having to come across many obstacles along the way. and those obstacles just so happen to be assholes. so, so yeah, it was a very grueling shoot for sure. 16 locations and very little time, massive crew. So logistically, it was chaos. But it's a great movie, and we're very close to signing all of the rights away for that one.
Well, I can't wait to see that one either. Like I said, I'm a big Mark Strange fan. Like I said, I've been following him, and because I've talked to him a few times on social media and everything, so I could be more happier for him to headline, a movie and kick some, ass, as he's been doing throughout the years. So, in closing, and again, you've been awesome. I mean, this has been a great chat. What just with the movie coming out July 14th, Exiled, The Chosen Ones, just tell people, what to expect and what do you want them to get out of it.
So, well, once again, thank you for plugging the movie. And to everybody who's been plugging the movie, especially a good friend of mine, Lee Golden, on his Action website too. So everybody follow ACTION-FLIX if you haven't. John Joe is great. Covered my movies from the start, so thank you very much.
Yeah.
As well as Levy Golden on Film Combat Syndicate. So Exile is out July 14th on Amazon Prime in the US, UK, Germany, and Austria. So anybody within those regions, please do check it out. The movie streams on the 14th. It features Sunny Pang, Al Rashid, Nick Khan, Oka Antara. Movie inspired by the Raid and Battle Royale. And just try and get everybody behind it. The movie will be on Amazon for a while, just before we hit the theatrical run. The theatrical movie will be out in all of Southeast Asia, so anybody within those regions, Thailand, Vietnam, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, all of that kind of region, anybody there, they'll be able to watch the movie in the cinema. And then after that's done, after that's run, it will become to TV in all the regions that I mentioned beforehand. So there will be many ways to watch the movie other than just Amazon Prime. So if you don't have Amazon Prime, don't worry. The movie's coming on other platforms too.
Yeah, so if you do support the movie, like I said, we need more. Like I want more. I'm doing my best, and again, that's the thing. Support independent action cinema. These guys bleed, sweat, and cry for their profession. The shit that they go through to make it. And my website is just a little platform to try to get your stuff out there along with the other filmmakers and everything. Because I'm just a fan. Because every time I talk to somebody famous, I'll always be I'm a fan. I'm gonna geek out before we talk, because I am. I mean, it's it is, it's and talking to you finally, it's because I know we messaged each other back and forth now to finally have the conversation and just try. This has been really great. And just when we end the conversation, just hang on for a couple minutes,
Sure.
You could talk afterwards. All right, so let's plug it one more time. Here we go. So Exiled, The Chosen One, Sunny Pang, Nick Khan. That's the price of admission right there. Just having those two and them kick the crap out of each other, and Nick Khan with swords and blades. You could have called it Nick Khan with blades, and I would have still watched it because it's freaking awesome. So congratulations to you, sir, on finally getting it out there for everybody to see. Rupture, look for that one. And again, I think I have 5 or 6 posts for Rupture on my site as is right now, but there will be many more when that gets closer. So congratulations on everything.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. And everybody else, if you did not get a chance to see this live, it'll be up on YouTube, my YouTube channel. Plus, I will make an article about it on actionflix.com. That's my website. Check it out. Give Ranjeet some love. Check out Exile, The Chosen Ones when it hits on July 14th. Because if you, again, my quote, it's on the poster. If you like bone-crushing, blood-soaked action, this is the one for you. So, Ranjeet, have a great rest of the day. And everybody else, we are your destination for everything action in 2022 and beyond. And Ranjeet, that guy's, or actually, let me point this way. Ranjeet, I get that screwed up. Ranjeet is the man. So make sure you check it out. All right. Have a good day, everybody.